You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver media podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, hello. Good morning. Hello, kids and cubs, and welcome to Season 3 and episode number 100. Yes, 100 of the Daily Beaver here on the Crier Media Network. Today, recording day is Monday, April 17th, 2023, and it is wet out there, with sun expected this afternoon. April showers bring May flowers. But we're back down to earth temperature-wise with a maximum of 9 today here at the Beaver Lodge. I'm your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver, eh? And with me, as always, is my dear friend, Mr. Grizzly. Of course, a big thank you goes out to our podcast's founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. I hope everybody that was observing Orthodox Easter had a wonderful for our Muslim friends. Eid is coming up. I believe it's Wednesday. So I hope that everything goes well for you and yours as you are celebrating as well. We have a Monday morning. Hold on. Sorry, I got thrown for a second here, kids. We have a Monday morning bite for you, Kits. But first, let's say hello to Mr. Grizzly and ask him how his mental health is doing today.
I had my mic on mute.
There you go.
Good morning, Mr. Beaver.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm allergies. That's basically my whole state of being right now. Just allergies. Itchy, watery eyes, wheezy, sneezy, just, not sleeping well as a result. No, it could be much better. Yeah, it could be much better. But, it is what it is. I'll just load up on antihistamines and try and get through the day.
Oh, darn. I was wondering about that this weekend, actually, because last week I thought I had come down with a bit of a cold. And then of course, you wonder if it's COVID. So I did the test, and it wasn't. And then I thought, okay, well, maybe I typically do not have environmental allergies. I'm very, very lucky. I'm just allergic to pretty much anything I put in my mouth. Yay. But environmental, I'm fine. But it was such a quick onslaught
Yeah,
right? It was a
that's yeah.
temperature that I thought, okay, maybe it was possible that I was just because I wasn't really. I had a little bit of cough now and then. Now and then I would sneeze, but not like normally when you have a cold. I just had that runny nose in the head, like a football
Mhm.
type thing. Which I thought, okay, well maybe this year's environmental. So I tried taking a couple of Benadryl and stuff, but no, it was just a cold. As you can tell, I'm just near the tail end of it. You can tell I'm a little stuffed up again there today in my voice. But yeah, it's yeah, allergies are not fun. I've
Well,
had it. There's only one place in the world where I know I have environmental allergies, and that's somewhere around like Tampa. Because I got there, and as soon as we drove into town, my head got that big, and in like 30 minutes when we got out of town, my head was fine.
so
So there
there's
was something
something.
there.
Yeah, wow, that's
But
wild.
yeah, that was about it. I was felt great, and I was like congested the entire time I was there. And as soon as we like passed the city limits, I was good again. Oh, well, in the news today and in the headlines, well, we have a lot going on. Um, let's see. Skippy was successful in obtaining some foreign interference in our political system. Our Canadian women put up a good fight and came home with the silver medal from the World Women's Hockey Championships. I don't know if I mentioned it last week. I may have forgotten, but Brad Gushu and his team took home the silver medal from the World Men's Curling Championships as well. So it was a good curling season so far. We have a medal for the men and the women at the World Championships in the same year, which has been a while, I
I met a
believe.
lot of the Scottish fans last Sunday.
Yeah, eh?
They poured into the pub, and I think the Scottish team eventually showed up. It was I was only out till like 8 o'clock or something like that, and I'm like, okay, I'm leaving now because and the staff just looks at me and go, probably for the best.
Yeah, yeah. Curlers also know how to drink very well. They're the friendliest people and the nicest people. It's one of the greatest sports that way. Just wonderful people. People who love to, you know, uh, break your balls, quote unquote, and just all in good fun, good nature. There's lots of good gentle ribbing and
Oh yeah,
like
there was lots of
well,
Canadians there that were patting them on the back, saying congratulations. They're like this
yes,
for 15 years, and so
yeah.
it was that.
But there's always some good just like trash talk with a little wink and a nudge,
Oh yeah,
right? Curling has a lot of that. Um, but it's yeah, like I said, it's an absolutely wonderful sport that way, where you just meet the most wonderful people, and where the athletes really are accessible.
oh
You
yes,
go see a football game. What are the odds that you're actually going to bump into someone really? I guess, but if you go to a curling tournament, you bump into the players all the time,
yeah.
all the time. It
It's
doesn't get to
pretty
talk to them.
commonplace. Yeah.
Yeah, even sometimes at your club, sometimes at the end of the year. I remember when I was curling back in Ottawa, we'd get to our last our year end when at the Ottawa Curling Club, which was called the Gordy Perry. It happened in early May, so their season was over. So sometimes we'd actually get some of the
Mhm.
curlers to come by because I've sat at a table with Craig Saville and his wife for dinner, right at my own
Oh, I
curling
love
club,
it.
and he's a world champion, right? So
Yeah,
it's absolutely
probably good.
wonderful. But we have this drink we can drink. Not the Gordy Perry. There's this drink called the Paralyzer.
Yeah,
Now, I
vodka
don't know what's in
paralyzer.
it because I've never had it because I'm a
It's
lightweight.
vodka.
But
Vodka.
it comes in it only in a pitcher,
Mhm.
and and often on the final eight, or if a good team has been eliminated early, and when they have the band playing and all that kind of stuff, there are people walking around with those pictures of that right out of the pitcher.
Oh yeah, yeah. Vodka paralyzers.
Yeah, woohoo boy. So yeah. Uh, so good stuff for our curlers, good stuff for our hockey players. It's wonderful. Um, and we have a tennis player, also up and comer, named JC Aguilar, who just won a doubles title up in the lower ranks, but he's making his way. So good for him. Lots of Canadians doing us proud. Um, what else have we have? The
What's this?
Yes, we're gonna get to that.
Oh boy, we're gonna dig into that.
We're gonna dig into that. Um, but first, what's behind me, Mister Grizzly? What do you see on the board?
Eager Beaver curling update.
Mm. This just in. Mr. Grizzly, could you give me a full screen, please?
Sure. Hang on.
Oh, what is this over here, Mr. Grizzly? Right here. It seems to be my top hat.
Your top hat.
Yeah. Um, do you think that there might be maybe something under it?
Perhaps a trophy of some type, an award.
Okay. Well, kids, please, a drum roll.
I have one here somewhere if I can find it.
All right. Well, okay, I guess we don't have one, but
So you won the
Open
championship.
doubles B flight winners.
Cool, cool.
We won. Oh my god. I can't believe it. I'm officially a jock now.
Okay, sure.
Yay. It was a very, 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 very tight game. We won 4-3.
Okay.
Very tight game. We were down 3-2 with one end left, and that was the first time any of us managed to score a 2. It was extremely tight game. We were both teams were making exceptional shots, and I would make a great shot, and then someone else would make an even better shot, and you could sit there and just watch all the air go out of your tires. Go, "Ah." Or you could just go back and say, okay, well then I will make an even better shot, and I did often enough to be able to win. And my partner made a couple of really great key shots, including the winning shot on our last one, and boom. Woohoo!
Champions.
So B Division champions, last year C Division champions, this year B Division championships and champions. And if everything goes well, we're starting an A next year.
Okay, cool.
We are an A-level team. Yay! I'm so excited. So there you go, kids and cubs. So thank you very much for following my adventures. And I'm glad I was able to bring home some bacon, especially since in our men's semifinal, the wheels fell off like right off the bat. we did
Well,
stand
that's
a
good.
chance. Yeah. All four. It's very rare that all four players are playing at their best all at the same time, but it's also equally rare that all four players are playing terribly at the same time. And we were all playing terribly at the same time that night. So it was a nice bounce back. So curling season is officially over, and as you can tell by my gear, it's now tennis season.
Looking at the weather.
So I have a game scheduled for today if it stops raining.
Good luck with that. It hasn't started raining here yet. It's supposed
Yeah,
to soon, though.
it started last night here, but it started later. It was supposed to start around I think 1 a.m. or anything, and it didn't start until well after 3. But there you go. All right. Now that the big important news has been taken care of, we can take care of all this other trivial stuff like what's his face here. But before we do, yes, I was wondering if you had some stuff for us, Mr. Grizzly.
Yeah. So, they keep talking about Chinese interference with the Liberal Party. Well, look at this. The Globe has learned that Mr. Zhao traveled to China last year with conservative senators Victor O, Don Plett, and Leo Housakis, and their spouses on an all-expense paid trip that the Senate Ethics Watchdog is investigating. The politicians were introduced to senior Chinese Communist Party officials and feted, including at a lavish dinner at a 5-star St. Regis hotel in Beijing. So, why doesn't Skippy have his security clearance? Number one. Number two, you notice he's dropped that whole let's look into this election interference thing? Might that be why?
Okay, wait a minute. Whoa. Okay.
He hasn't spoken about this, Chinese election interference or anything like that in some time. That went away really quickly when
A lot of people haven't been talking about it for quite a long time.
well, it's
Ever
when
since Mr. Dong decided that he was going to
Sue.
pursue defamation.
Yeah, number one. And number two, after Jagmeet Singh in the House of Commons said, let's look into all foreign interference, including the Russians. And who voted against that?
Mm-hmm.
Who voted against looking
Mm-hmm.
into all foreign election interference, including the Russians? Could it be the Conservative Party of Canada and its leader, Pierre Poilievre, or Poilievre, or whatever he's going by this week.
Mm-hmm.
Funny how that is. So he adds more distraction, and here's where his more distraction is this week. Starting, I guess this is yesterday. Of course, Brittle Star replied to him.
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
Officially
whoa, 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 whoa,
exposed.
whoa, 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 whoa! You're jumping way too quick through the subjects, my friend here.
Well, I was going on a rant there, dude. Well, keep going. Go ahead. Go ahead, dude. I was on a roll.
All right, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say it comes from one thing to the next. It goes, he distracts with one thing and then he brings up another thing. And here's his distraction now by getting, Brittle Stars. How dumb does he think the common people are by breaking CBC officially exposed as government funded media? Well, now people know that it is Trudeau propaganda, not news. Sign here to save $1 billion and defund the CBC. Now, I take umbrage with that statement. Yeah, okay, yeah, people realizing that it's government funded. It has been since what 1933,
Two.
32,
Yep.
1932.
Started as something, I can't remember the name of it, in 1932 and 1936, officially became the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation.
So for 91 years, it's been a government funded organization. We know this. This
Yes.
is a
And it's
secret.
a conservative idea.
R.B. Bennett, correct?
Right.
So now all of a sudden he's saying it's exposed as government funded media. It's not exposed, number one. And number two, him accusing it that it is Trudeau propaganda and not news. He needs to be censured for that. That's defamatory in my mind. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not a lawyer, but dude I think he finally crossed the bridge that's too far, because the blowback on that has been, and I've seen it from both sides of the aisle. Literally both sides of the aisle. I have seen people who are both conservative and PPC supporters who are going like, hold on a second now. Hold on a second now. You refused to get your security clearance and now you're saying this? What gives? People are becoming very suspicious of this man now. And again, as Katie Telford, uh, would you call it a test? Did she testify, or
Mm-hmm.
it was an inquiry?
Yep.
Testified that he has not gotten his clearance because, well, he wants to be able to make hay and make defamatory, accusatory statements on a daily basis. Because if he doesn't have the information in front of him, he can't not speak about it. Right? He can speculate and he can gaslight all he wants, but once you have that information, once you have that clearance, once you are presented with top secret documentation that tells the actual story about what's going on, he can't speak about it anymore. So he wants to try and use that as a cudgel. The man is completely off his rocker. And I think he needs to be both censured and, quite honestly, I think he needs to be stripped of his title and removed from Parliament. I think he's gone too far. I've been saying that for a while, but I think I think he's crossed a line that people are not willing to accept anymore. There's the extreme fringe minority of what, maybe 3% of the population that are supporting that, and his army of Twitter bots. But no, he's gone too far.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that actually is tea in this mug this morning as I sip it. I think he's gone a bridge too far this time, and it's the tone, the tonality, the verbiage. It smacks of, it's too Trumpian, I think, for most Canadians. Even the extreme ones are going like, hold on a second now. Especially if you live in rural parts of Canada. If you don't have internet, and many rural parts of Canada don't, or access to high speed internet, you might have dial up, perhaps. I know that still does exist, or minimum DSL, but you're not going to be streaming 100 different news sources if you're out in a rural area. And what is your access to both radio and television for rural Canadians? The one that keeps them informed, the CBC. The other thing too, CBC News is a completely separate arm. It's completely separate from the CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. CBC News World,
Mm-hmm.
completely separate, and only available on cable and internet. By the way, CBC News World is not broadcast over the air. I can't put up a set of rabbit ears and get News World. The
Mm-hmm.
CBC itself, you can,
Right.
because it's meant to reach all Canadians.
Right.
News World is a subscription-based service on either cable or satellite or the internet. And again, like I said, if you're residing in a rural or northern area where high-speed internet isn't a thing, you're not going to be able to get those services. So you're only guaranteed, by the way, guaranteed because the CBC's mandate is to provide access to information for all Canadians, no matter where they are in the world, because they also have a shortwave feed for CBC radio. So you can be in Europe and listening to CBC radio on the air with a shortwave radio.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that? I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
you knew that. Not everybody does.
Yeah.
But the CBC is available around the world. They have rebroadcast stations, they have shortwave. So he is trying to eliminate something that is a conservative idea, and B, as Canadian as the day is long. And people are not taking well to this. And I'm noticing a vast majority of people responding to this online are not, it's not sitting well with them at all.
Mm-hmm.
They are
Mm-hmm.
freaking out, and justifiably so. This man is threatening. He's threatening to uh, disseminate and disintegrate and remove that which is our basic, the fifth estate.
All right. All right. Okay. Now, unfortunately, you've scooped my entire show.
Didn't mean to. We don't talk about this before we go on, people. We just literally start and go. And anyway, well, do you want to talk about Gillian Findley?
No.
Okay, what do you want to talk about?
Ah, man. All right. Um, okay. Talk about Jillian. I'm completely thrown. Sorry, you've completely thrown me.
I didn't mean to do that. We should have maybe a meeting before we start. Well, Gillian Findley, as many people may know, was she retired as the head anchor for the Fifth Estate, and retired from the CBC at the same time because she could not get a remote work set up on her schedule. She wanted to work remotely, like her male colleagues have been able to do. And they would not make an arrangement for that for her. And as a result, she decided to step away. Now, I'm thinking there's a little bit of sexism at play there. I mean, come on, if the guys get it, why can't she?
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to try and reach out to her and see if she wants to talk to us about it. I don't know if we'll ever be able to get a hold of her, but I've spoken to a couple of people about it, and hopefully we'll be able to reach her. But
Mm-hmm.
it's really troubling. It's really troubling. I mean, here is the Fifth Estate it doesn't have a female anchor for the first time in what 30 plus years,
Probably, yeah.
and she was a damn good one,
Mm-hmm.
damn good one. And her retirement is a loss to Canadians who like to be informed. Now, I can't say to all Canadians because not everybody is interested. But if you are a Canadian that wants to be informed and you're looking for in depth news coverage or in depth stories that other places don't go, the Fifth Estate, CBC, and Gillian Findley were reliable for that. And now we've lost her voice. And largely, I think, because of sexism. Because if the guys could get that remote work contract, work from home, and she couldn't, you gotta, let's be honest. Come on. If that's not blatant sexism, what is it?
I really don't know. But it has to be.
That-
That's the only difference, right?
That's it. I mean, that's the only difference. And there
Mm-hmm.
was a letter that she had wrote. I don't know if anybody saw it or not. Um, and I'll recite some of it to you now. says, I'm leaving the CBC because I've been able to negotiate a remote work arrangement that is acceptable to me or in keeping with arrangements afforded peers. I can't speak to why that is. I can only say that staying and accepting what I believe is inequitable treatment, especially after so many years, is something I cannot do. I regret this outcome, and least because this leaves the Fifth Estate for the first time in its nearly 50-year history without a permanent female host. So nearly 50 years, they've always had a permanent female host.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it harkens back to the Lisa LaFlamme dismissal. There was ageism and sexism there, right?
Right.
I think this is very much falling in line with the same thing. I'm seeing a pattern develop here is what I'm getting at.
Yes.
And it's a pattern I'm not comfortable with. And it's a pattern that is across news agencies because you got to remember one is CBC and one is CTV, which is a Bell Globe media conglomerate.
Correct.
So you've got, well, I'll say it, and I'm saying this in air quotes, old white men running the divisions. And all of a sudden, their female counterparts, who are the anchors of the positions that they hold, absolute captains of the position that they have ascended to, have been dismissed for, well, in Gillian's case, she just left because they would not afford her what her male colleagues had.
Mm-hmm.
In Lisa's case, it was, well, I guess her hair was allowed to go gray and they didn't like that.
Doesn't take much, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't. And it's disturbing.
And it's not like we don't have a history of very competent, very admirable broadcasters who are female. Right? Barbara Frum.
Yeah, no kidding.
Right? Lisa LaFlamme, Sandy Ronaldo. And this lady, Mr. Grizzly, if you would put her up, Avery Hines, host of the Big Five, who just won a Canadian Screen Award for
I
her
love
work.
her. I think she's great.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And the Canadian Screen Awards were great for Canadians all over. It was a very big night for Black Canada.
Yes.
With the television show The Porter,
which was
about black train porters, and I believe in the 20s and 30s, I believe.
Yep.
Won 12 Canadian Screen Awards, including the best show. Unfortunately, it seems it's going to be the one and the only season of The Porter. Because it was being done in conjunction with Black Entertainment Television, and it seems that Black Entertainment Television is not really interested so much on elevating Black Canadian voices. They just did it for a season and decided, nah, we don't really want to do that. We're going another way. So I'm hoping a Netflix or an Apple or a Crave or something would pick it up. I mean, if I was working at one of those places, I would have picked it up already because it's been a while since it's been announced. But that's the deal there. And on the film side, veteran and Hall of Fame Canadian director Clement Virgo had a movie this year called Brothers, based on a book called The Brother, and both actors won, and it won for best film, and it won 12 awards as well, which is a record for film since we've had the Canadian Screen Awards. So just it was I've never seen in my life that much blackness being rewarded on screen in Canada. So it was an interesting night, and it's interesting that it comes in the same year that the Legacy Awards were created.
Awards?
Yeah, they had it for the first time, which was celebrating Black excellence.
Oh, okay.
In general.
How come I didn't hear about that?
We talked about it a bit on the show.
We did?
Yeah.
I've had a lot of concussions. No, seriously, like I have no recollection of that at all. You know what though? In 5 years,
was it a Canadians Who Make Us Proud?
Okay.
Segment. Yeah.
In 5 years from now, I'll go, hey, remember that time? My long-term memory is still sharp as a tack. My short-term memory has gone to shit.
Oh,
too many hits to the head.
All right. All right. So let's take some of those things one by one and go through them. Let's start with, because you started with Senator Housakos.
Mm-hmm.
So I found the story about the trip. Senator broke ethics rules by accepting free travel to China. Like I said, this was in February, published February 2020 in the Globe and Mail. And as you, the two sentences that you put up there was true. The Senate's ethics officer Pierre Legault launched the inquiry in December 2017 after the Globe and Mail reported Senators Plet and Usakos went on a 2-week trip to Beijing and the southeastern Chinese province of Fujian in April 2017 without disclosing it as either sponsored travel or a gift as required under the rules. Gee, Clarence Thomas syndrome.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because I saw some kits here saying because it said 2020, how did they get to go to China during COVID? It was a 2017 trip, so it was pre-COVID. But of course, we're finding about it now.
Yeah.
Well, found about it in 2020, 3 years later.
Yeah, 3 years after the fact.
Yeah, after they took the trip. Of course, we had reported earlier on that Pierre Poilievre and his wife had also had similar trips as well. And we were wondering, well, if the Trudeau Foundation has to be labeled as Beijing funded because it received one drop of money coming from China, well, then shouldn't Skippy's entire media presence and everything he do say Beijing backed because he took this free trip? Now, these senators did not declare it, just like Senator Justice Thomas did not declare it, even though the rule that you must declare has been in place since after Watergate, before he became a Supreme Court justice. And I'm pretty sure these rules were probably in place before Senator Greasy did this, because Senator Greasy got caught in the Senate expense scandal as well. Right?
Yeah.
$6,000 he had to return. $6,000 he had to return. And he spends a lot of time commenting, right? Because he used to be the Conservatives' leader in the Senate. That was their guy. He's still the Conservative leader, but obviously he's not the Senate leader because now they're in the minority. But he basically assumed office in the Senate in 2015. Okay. Or maybe he assumed a little earlier. I'm pretty sure he became the Speaker of the Senate in 2015. I don't remember when it is that he was appointed, unfortunately.
He was a Harper
in 2008. In 2008. He was appointed in 2008. So between 2008 and the time that the senator, well, in 2008, and then the scandal happened. So, I mean, he basically just came right into the Senate and started being corrupt right off the bat.
Oh, yeah. Right from the get-go.
Right. So this guy here likes to make some comments. So, for example, he has a little tweet out there that says, interesting considering the government has yet to propose a registry, so we've no idea if they actually will, and certainly not what it would look like. So he's still stuck on the China thing, right? He's doing that in the background for them. Senators are not supposed to be campaigning. Well, sorry, I guess the Conservatives still do because they decided not to go independent. They're still under the banner of their party. The Liberals were freed up by the Prime Minister to be independent, but the Conservative senators are not independent. They are still under the thumb of the party. So they are campaigning.
Oh, clearly.
Which they should not be doing, but they are. And then he says, so how does MP Aria know what it will or won't do? No surprise Senator Wu doesn't want any form of accountability. Mr. Grizzly, if you would put this up, I would very much appreciate it. I wonder what it is about these two people, especially that has caught Senator Greasy's eye. Oh, whatever could it be? Both senators happen to be Asian or of Asian heritage.
Yes.
Do you hear the dog whistles?
Oh, yeah.
Do you hear the dog whistles?
And
then another one.
And I shouldn't be able to, but I can. They're very loud. They're very loud.
Yes. And then another one from Senator Greasy. While the Trudeau government continues to run and hide from serious charges of foreign interference in China, our allies are taking action and pursuing foreign interference with the full force of the law. while the conservative greasy senator continues to forget to mention the Poilievre opposition is also running and hiding from the same damn charges, as conservatives were also targets. That's why every time they talk about it, they only talk about liberals. Like they were never mentioned. The conservatives are actually using the Trudeau government as a human shield to avoid their own issues.
Wow. Distract, deflect.
Deny, degrade, dehumanize, devalue, debase, defy, all the D's.
Duck, dodge, dive.
Yep.
What's the other one? I can't remember.
All the D's.
That's a lot of D. They're taking on all the D.
Yeah. A whole bunch of
They like
D's. A whole
they
bag of
take
D's.
a lot of D.
A whole
bag
of D's.
Taking on all the D.
Yeah. Senator Greasy. You might want to buy a mirror.
Well, this is. I don't know if the kids are aware that Anonymous is going after Skippy.
That's where I was going next.
I figured as much because I've got your tweet here.
All right.
I'll put it up on the screen. So, holy crap, if Anonymous has their sights set on Pee Wee Vermin, he's worse than I give him credit for being, and he's in a world of hurt. Anonymous doesn't play around. They just doxed Laura Ingram. My guess is they have some dirt on Mr. Poilievre, but he can't complain. They are expressing their freedom of expression without the need for gatekeepers.
And in Anglo-Saxon.
And your response is, they never expect the streets to be two-way, do they? One-way valve on everything, they think.
Yep.
Funny when they get bitten by I can't believe the tigers eating people's faces party was actually going to eat my face. It's absurd. So absurd.
It is very, very, very absurd. So yes, it appears that Mr. Poilievre has got Anonymous's attention. Yeah. And I'm always wondering, it's like, well, what could he have done? Because, I mean, why would he have their attention? I just don't understand that for any reason whatsoever. And, well, the guy won't go get a security clearance for one, and we'll get to that. But they mentioned him by name, which is very interesting because I don't really remember that happening before specifically. We're saying like, we haven't forgotten about you and we'll remember you and we've got some stuff about you and we're coming for you. I've never actually heard Anonymous say to a Canadian politician their name, we are coming for you. We are Legion.
This is
expect us.
This is a first.
Yeah.
This is new territory.
This is very, very new to us, which makes me wonder, okay, I mean, we knew he was terrible, but we thought, okay, maybe just smarmy kid, who just went directly from campus debate club to a seat and never had the time to actually socialize an adult and earn some EQ points along the way. Right?
Yeah,
all IQ, but no EQ type thing. Because he's not dumb.
No. He has no EQ.
But he has no emotional intelligence whatsoever, whereas the Prime Minister's full of emotional intelligence, right? And then the joke is that he has no IQ because he has to remember to put on his pants to come to a debate. Yeah, well, what's the body count now, conservatives? How many leaders has he gone through? You don't go through that many leaders if you're not smart. Well, Anonymous is really, really, whoa.
They're coming for him.
For the kids who are listening, it's a basic composite image that they put Skippy standing above a whole bunch and sort of like a military line with Canadian flags, a whole bunch of planes coming, and on his lapel is actually wearing a swastika with conservative, let's bring fascism home, with a conservative logo, and on the white center, rather than a maple leaf, a swastika. And on the bottom it said, truth doesn't matter.
Pierre Poilievre, dictator in waiting.
I thought he was just a dick in waiting, but wow. And of course,
they're coming for him, and boy, oh boy.
So basically said, okay, it's on, motherfucker. We're coming to you. And Elon Musk responded by suspending Anonymous's Twitter account.
That's okay. They have about a dozen.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yes. That wasn't, I mean, that wasn't really going to do anything whatsoever.
No.
But they suspended his account. Now, also, Elon Musk changed the thing on CBC's Twitter account to say, government. That's twice in a very, 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 very short period of time that Elon jumps when Skippy says so.
Yeah,
or asks. He sent a letter. It wasn't an order. It was a request.
Nothing more than that. Just a simple request.
Mr. Grizzly? Anonymous operations. You voted against an exit profit tax. You voted against a wealth tax. You voted against eliminating stock option loopholes. You refuse background checks. You are the very machine you claim to be against. Protect capitalism while raking in millions. Hashtag Pierre Poilievre is a fascist. And then, little graphic, Pierre Poilievre was found guilty of taking illegal contributions by the elections commissioner. Which made me wonder, and now he's also guilty of seeking out and importing the influence of foreign corporations into our politics and elections. What is the monetary value of that which Lon E just contributed to Pierre Poilievre's campaign? Will Pierre fail to report it? I always refer to Elon as Lon E because I figured it'd probably be different. He probably has this thing scanning every time people mention him to see who he could block.
I figure, yeah.
Lonnie. Hi, Lonnie.
Well, and Pierre is spelled P-E-E-A-I-R.
And I cannot take credit for creating that one, but I could sure as hell take credit for spreading it around.
I didn't. I saw it online, and I'm like, oh, I got to share this with everybody. And you know what? I was scrolling. I saw it. It caught my eye, and I was on my phone scrolling. Caught my eye, and I went to click on it. And you know how sometimes when you go to click on something, it just disappears and something else pops up? That's what happened. So I couldn't even get it open to credit whoever created that hashtag. But hashtag Pierre, I'm going to put that in the chat because I think it's funny.
So, what else have we from Anonymous on here? Anyway, basically they're all over him, and they've let it be known that you wanted our attention, you got it, undivided.
You don't want Anonymous's attention. You really don't. If they decide to come for you, you're done. You're done.
Yeah. And Anonymous wasn't really all that impressed either with Elon, so I'm having a feeling that he might be in a world of trouble as well. Mr. Grizzly? Let us make sure we know terms of service. Trump can threaten anyone. Marjorie Taylor Greene can encourage violence, hate, and insurrection. Russians can call for genocide. Proud Boys and Nazis of US and Canada can threaten lives, but Anonymous can't even share posts. Elon Musk, do we have this right? Now, I am not very well versed in the dark web, but I believe when Anonymous asks a question or makes a whole statement and asks, do we have that right?
They do.
What's coming next? Probably something for which you're going to want to have lots of padding.
Just a little bit.
Because I know I've used that line. So okay, so you've done this, and this is my fault. Have I got that right? I know what's coming next out of me when I say that. So they have resources. It's gonna be a world of hurt. It's gonna be a world of hurt. And I am all here for it. And it couldn't happen to a douchier guy.
Oh
It
yeah.
couldn't. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. And then Anonymous was busy on other things too. Just so we, mention it. But they also did this. They had a busy day, Mr. Grizzly.
Go ahead.
But when it comes to Trump, they're not playing.
Oh no.
They, I believe that these might be flight manifests,
Yeah,
at least this
from
one,
Epstein's to Epstein Island.
and having to do with the alleged case of him having raped a 13-year-old virgin. And it seems that, sorry, I should have given a trigger warning for that.
Mm.
Apologize. Um, and it seems, well, they also re-released Epstein's little black book.
Hmm.
And there's a couple of interesting names in there. Yes.
One or two.
Yes. One or two specifically interesting to Canadians. But we won't speculate here on that. But let's just say it's not surprising.
So to that,
I'm wondering if I should post it. That's why you know what? It is public, so screw it.
well, go ahead then. Let's do it. If it's
It's public.
public.
Right here.
Conrad Black.
And
Conrad and his wife Barbara. Huh.
yeah, not sure what they're doing in the little black book.
Don't know. We're not accusing them of anything, but they're in there. Their
They're in
names
the
are
black
there.
book.
So it means you're definitely suspect of doing something nefarious.
Yes, and it appears, based on what Anonymous is saying, and again, that there is no registry of payments, as would be for the other cases, because it seems that the underage were free.
Well, there's testimony that was released yesterday, and I read it, and I, I didn't screenshot it because it's very much trigger warning. I read it, and I'm like, okay, I don't. We'll discuss it, but I don't want to put it up because it was too much. But it
Yep.
was somebody who worked for Epstein from 1990 to 2000 who witnessed all of the things that allegedly took place. The raping of children, how Donald Trump threatened their family, how Epstein threatened their family, how the person who testified said, I now realize that I am a target. I am in the crosshairs, but I could not carry this secret any longer.
Hmm.
So, yeah, things are coming down. You know the thing about karma? You do something bad, it'll come back to get you in the ass eventually. Well,
Yep.
sometimes karma takes a lifetime.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
it's not instant, right?
See, I'm a big believer that karma doesn't come on command. Karma comes. Karma does two things. I believe it definitely says hello to you on the way down,
Oh yeah.
but it will often elevate you way higher than you deserve to be
Hmm.
first.
Just so when it
So the
knocks you
fall
down,
can be
oh,
that much further down.
exactly, exactly. And they're all about to get their comeuppance, if you will,
This
from
guy got
Lady Karma.
this guy got elevated to leader of the free world, allegedly.
No, the United States of America. I hate that leader of the
That's
free
what I'm
world.
saying, allegedly.
Yeah, yeah.
But he got elevated, at least in the American psyche, to
Mhm.
leader of the free world. There is nothing higher.
No,
There's
no,
nothing higher for them.
for them. That's right.
The world. biggest attention whore, reached the world's biggest peak, and now the downfall will be broadcast in HD 24/7 on every network all around the world.
Yeah,
A
he's been to the
fitting,
top of Everest and he's about
fitting,
to fall.
fitting end. That is
Chef's kiss.
tasty, 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 tasty karma. Which is why I keep on saying, kids, that this is return on investment time. We put in the time watching through the grapes with eating the ketchup chips. We put in the time. We watched Trump try to actually destroy us economically. That was the whole point of NAFTA too, until Christopher Freeland said, dude, Putin banned me from his country. I eat chumps like you for breakfast.
Yeah.
And she ultimately got the ultimate compliment from him that he didn't like her very much because she was tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tougher than him.
Well, he's a mob boss.
He didn't think that was a good deal.
Yeah.
And he had to sign on to it. Christopher Freeland got him.
Oh, yeah.
Just so you know. Like Nancy Pelosi, she cut off his head, decapitated him, and he was not even aware he was bleeding. Just happened.
Remember that, her?
Yes. I love that.
Yeah, that was great.
That and
Yeah.
Nancy.
The symbolism there.
Yeah, really. Well, that State of the Union's done. All right. Yeah. Now, coming back to the CBC. Oh, man. So, as you mentioned, Mr. Grizzly, people were not taking it. And it is true that people were not taking it. And one sentence came to my mind as I saw things happening. Because I talk a lot about tone and countertone.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so Skippy had a tone. We need to tell. We need to protect Canadians. Canadians are in danger from misinformation and all that kind of stuff, right? And they're treating it like, oh, yes, we need to tell people that it is government funded. Now, of course, when they say government funded, they mean state funded.
Yes.
Or state run, like Russia and Iran and North Korea, and as opposed to BBC and TV Ontario and PBS. Right?
Big difference.
I just, man, I tell you. So basically, Elon Musk and Pierre Poilievre got together to play Captain Obvious with us and tell us what we already know, because it was apparently this great mystery to Canadians that since 1932 that the CBC was publicly funded.
It's only been 91 years.
Yes. Now, it is publicly funded by a parliamentary appropriation bill.
Mm-hmm.
And within that bill, it is explicitly stated that the CBC has editorial independence.
Complete editorial independence, and has since day one.
But we need to be warned because, well, it's a fact. And those are the facts. So we must say the facts. Okay.
You know, Shannon Freud is not necessarily a good thing, but I am eagerly anticipating his downfall. And you know, maybe I'm a terrible person for wanting to rejoice in his downfall, but he's human scum. He's scum. He has not one single redeeming quality. None. Zero. He has zero ethics. He has zero backbone. I mean, how does a man without a spine walk around?
He's carried.
Clearly.
Oh, sorry. He's carried.
Yeah.
Mm. So, the key sentence, Mr. Grizzly, is the mood has changed. And when
Oh,
I say the mood has changed, let's take a look. David Hurley, right? Political strategist, big time. The Hurley Burley podcast.
mm-hmm.
Worked for Kathleen Wynne. This is appalling. As somebody who cheered on Elon Musk electric car advances, admired his space program, and subscribed to his internet, it is now embarrassing to be associated with him.
Oh, yeah.
Riddle Star. Officially exposed by Twitter? How dumb does he think the common people are? Don't answer that.
Don't answer that.
Evan Scrimshaw. Imagine in the year of our Lord 2023 thinking people didn't know the CBC's government funded. Genuinely, how fucking stupid do you think we are?
Mm-hmm.
Very, very, very stupid.
Oh, yeah. The mood has shifted. I've
What
seen.
bigger insults to our intelligence than us having to be warned that the CBC is government funded? Warned that it is government funded. Not informed, warned. In order to protect us from misinformation, like anybody was deceiving us at any point.
See, that's the thing about the CBC is, again, it has total editorial control. Total. Its
They,
funding cannot be cut because they don't like what they said.
and
There's
you know what?
rules against it.
Right. And you know when we were talking, I think it was just last episode, they don't build anything. They destroy.
Yeah.
They never build anything.
That's all they
They
do.
will even destroy legacy pieces that they themselves have built now.
Just so they can, and again, it's win the nanosecond.
There is nothing conservative about the Conservative Party.
No, they're reforms. They're just the Reform
The
Alliance
CBC
Party.
is a conservative idea.
Yeah.
Conservatives used to be progressive conservatives, but let's just say conservatives. Let's not make the distinction. Just then and now. The conservatives used to be institutionalists,
Mhm.
monarchists,
Mhm.
law and order, the police, the Constitution, a national broadcaster, so that we would have a common sense of identity. And that people, wherever they are, could have something that unites them. As being Canada, and they can hear their own stories. This is a conservative idea. Now they actually want, they would rather the public broadcaster no longer exists because it doesn't continuously heap praise on them 100% of the time like True North does.
And that's what it is. He
They
likes,
feel entitled to only positive coverage, exclusively positive coverage.
yeah, if it doesn't toe his line, if it doesn't carry his water, they're propaganda-wing of. You know, the funny thing is I've seen people on the left say that the CBC has been too hard on Trudeau and has leaned heavily
It has.
conservative. And I'm like, they've been really hard on Trudeau.
It's a natural bias in terms of doing the balance thing, the quote unquote neutral balance thing. Is we have to hit you as hard as we hit the other guys, even if you're not doing anything wrong. We still need to hit you. No, you don't. You don't. You really, 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 really don't. There's no need to prove your worth by hitting one person as hard as you hit the other. If there's no reason to hit one person, one of them.
Hmm.
If you're doing your journalism job and if things seem to be going pretty much as they should, there's no reason to find a reason. You hold to account. If they're doing well, that's the account.
Oh yeah.
You don't, right? So it's yeah. I'm just, it's the freaking CBC, man.
Yeah.
And the worst part is that the CBC can't defend itself because as soon as they try, right, the president of the CBC came up and then they all lambasted her
Mm-hmm.
when she actually made a point I'm
Well,
saying that
she spelled
Poilievre
it out.
was, yeah, she spelled it out, and they lost their minds.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you tell the truth about their game, that's when they really lose their minds.
Yeah.
Right?
I know you are, but what am I? That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm
Right.
hearing.
Right.
It's children on the playground arguing over who won the marbles game. It's exasperating. But I really do believe he's crossed a bridge too far this time. I think people are I think this might be the straw that breaks the camel's back.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the kicker. Here's the thing that kills. We had a conservative government for nearly 10 years with Stephen Harper.
Mm-hmm.
Was the CBC the propaganda arm of the Conservative Party then? Because, I mean, if it has been government funded all along,
Mm-hmm.
and Pierre Poilievre felt no need to inform us that it was government funded when he was the government for 10 years.
Yeah. By his logic, that would have been the propaganda arm of the Conservative Party.
Especially when you consider that during the time of Harper, the CBC board was, in Harper fashion, stacked with good Canadian boys and girls who just happened to be generous and reliable Conservative Party donors.
What does he call that? Old stock Canadians?
The closest the CBC ever became to being a propaganda arm was during the year where every seat on that board was filled.
Yeah.
Was occupied by a backside belonging to a donor to the Conservative Party.
Funny, eh? How that works?
Harper had no problem with it. Scheer had no problem with it. O'Toole had no problem with it. But Skippy has a problem with it.
Well, he's a fascist, wannabe dictator. And he will never be prime minister. Never.
Yeah, never.
Be prime minister. Never.
Hopefully never. We keep on saying that, but hopefully, because...
Well, as long as we can keep informing people, keep getting the truth out there and telling the truth and letting people know this is what this man represents. This is what this man wants to do to you. This is what this man will take from you. Let's remove gatekeepers. Remember the listeriosis outbreak? Remember Walkerton, how many people died? Because the gatekeepers were removed.
Lac Megantic, Walkerton, listeriosis, you name it. It just happens again and again and again and again and again and again.
The gatekeepers are there to protect you from, well, harm. Simple as that.
Right. So now we have a situation where Skippy is asking for foreign companies to interfere into our political process and appears to be doing it successfully, appears to have Elon Musk's ear. And he will not take a security clearance in order to be briefed on national security elements because he says it will not allow him to comment on national security. Okay, kids and cubs, that is a lie. An outright blatant lie. A lie, just like when Danielle Smith says that she's not going to talk about the ethics investigation because it is already before the courts. It is not. This is a lie. If he sees that intelligence, he is not allowed to comment on the intelligence specifically that he sees. He is allowed to comment on national security all he wants. The Prime Minister sees the intelligence, according to Katie Telford, and he comments on national security. It has nothing to do with national security. This is a moment when the leader of His Majesty's allegedly loyal official opposition has to choose between his duty as a leader to know, or in order to be a good statesman, or in order to be a good partisan, his ability to maintain plausible deniability to save personally, to save himself from personally being pursued for knowingly and intentionally lying, misrepresenting, torquing, twisting, whatever you said. They're all synonyms for lying. Lying, 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 lying. They are lies. Now, when the alleged future prime minister is on the record as preferring ignorance for partisan purposes to knowledge for statesman purposes, and more frightening that the media is not raising the alarm in any way, The only conclusion for me can be is that Pierre Poilievre is now a national security risk. It is now 220 days since he's become the party leader. And he's been a national security liability because he refuses his duty to be cleared to be exposed to intelligence. And that's funny because it has levels. He refuses to be exposed to intelligence. Now, he's gone on the record telling the nation and the world that he prefers to be in a state of ignorance. Well, if you are telling the world that you prefer to be in a state of ignorance and you do not want to be briefed, aren't you just sending a big flare-up to all the underground and all the underhanded people who want to commit political interference in Canada, that you are open for business and entertaining offers? He's a national security liability, kids. Officially now. And now the questions of whether or not the leaks come from those two conservative MPs on NSICOP really does matter. And the questions about how did them two communicate what it is that they heard or saw in their capacities as NSICOP members to their party. And what is Pierre doing with that information? Because they can't come out and say that he's torquing it if they're against what it is that he's doing. They got to keep quiet.
Mm-hmm.
So the question now becomes, what are you hiding, PP? Because to be cleared, that involves having to clear not only you, but at that level, also members of your close family. What is it that you do not want us to know, PP, that you're avoiding? You keep on asking us what is Trudeau hiding with the foundation and all those other things. But what are you hiding? You're the one that's running. This is going to get good, kids. It's going to get good. There's blood in the water now. And journalists sometimes don't like to provoke the blood, but when there is blood, they tend to all rush in. And everybody takes a piece of the story and then they try to find it out. He's in trouble. He's in trouble. Mr. Full Transparency doesn't appear to believe that applies universally. So stay tuned, kids. It's going to be interesting. Mr. Grizzly, do we have a show?
We do indeed.
All right, kids. That's the end of this episode, this 100th episode of the Daily Beaver here on the Crier Media Network. We hope that you enjoyed listening to us because we enjoyed making this for you. And of course, because word of mouth is priceless, please, 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 please tell your friends and your family and everyone you know about us. Share, retweet, everything. We really appreciate it. It means the world to us. If you really like the podcast, you can find us on the Crier Media Network and all Beaver Grizzly friendly platforms. Stars and reviews are appreciated. Thank you so very much. And we've got a couple of tips over the weekend, which we will talk about in another episode because we have to close off here. We love to hear from you. So please reach us on our Facebook, True North Eager Beaver, on our Twitter page @TrueEager, or by email truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com. And you can subscribe to us via our pod page, podpage.com/TheTrueNorthEagerBeaver, lowercase letters with a hyphen between each one of those words. And we will come to you as soon as we have something straight off the bandwidth. And if you will subscribe to us, if you're watching on our True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube channel, well, that would help us up big time. And as Kit Elaine keeps saying, smash those buttons. We can't do this without you or your kind and generous support. So if you feel that we've done a particularly good show for you today or a good job recently, well then, please scan the QR code by Mr. Grizzly's head, and that will bring you to our emergency coffee hot chocolate fund. And if you're listening, well, then you just let those fingers do the walking to our coffee site, ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, all in one word, lowercase letters. That's ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver. And there you can make your contribution to keeping us hydrated. We need liquids. It's very important. And thank you for all the wonderful feedback that you've given us about our interview or our conversation, as it's more than an interview with Charles Adler. Thank you very much. And we're relaying that to him. He's very happy about that. And thank you also for those who tuned into our Alberta special. And thank you to Nate Pike and Max Fawcett for participating in that as well. It's very good. They have lots of insights. So please take some time to check it out. From the Beaver Lodge, this is your Eager Beaver saying, until next time, dear kids, it could be a tough world out there, so please be kind to and gentle with yourself. And Mr. Grizzly, do you have some words of wisdom for us, please, before we go?
Yeah, get out there and fight the power. And the power in this case is the opposition leader, who is dangerous to democracy, dangerous to Canadians, and dangerous to the way of life as we know it. Fight
Now
back
I
and
got,
inform people. Share this message with everybody you can. Let them know we're fighting against fascism.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now you just put two songs in my head.
Okay.
You put Public Enemy's Fight the Power,
Mm-hmm.
and then you put Mabel's Let Them Know. And
Okay.
they are completely different songs.
Yes. Okay.
All
We gotta go.
right.
We gotta wrap.
Yep.
I gotta go.
All right. Let's roll those credits. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum. And the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
Was that your celebration song?
That music, it just makes me so happy. Bye, kids. Have a great day.
See ya.